Hello. Oh, that's my pen. I wanted to check in on everyone. It's a Cancer full moon, and I hope everyone's doing well. There's been a big shift. I think I was talking about this in my last video, but astrology communities are talking about it. I think energetically, like people who are in spiritual energetic work, I think people feel it. The node shift happened on Saturday from Aries. North Node was in Aries, and then it went into Pisces, and that goes from the Aries Libra axis into the Pisces Virgo axis. So it goes from self wounding and direction and healing of self and other, or other and then self, and then this one, I guess it is still other and self, but karmically everything is centering a lot more around healing and spirituality or divinity and humanity. And I've had a couple journeys, and I want to share just some things that have felt particularly grounding and how I've been feeling. Like they're the conclusions that I had to come to, or was trying, like these are things that I was telling myself towards the end of last year just to get me through the chaos of what was that, like finishing out that third, or getting through that messy, chaotic third of the year. And now we're in like the closure third. Once we hit Capricorn season, once we hit Sag season. That's why Sag season, at least for me, feels like, I don't know, it feels chaotic, but it also feels like the beginning of the end. Because then we often move into Capricorn season. And like I feel, okay, no, let me phrase. It's already 2 minutes, I'm already being like, blah, blah, blah. I feel like Sagittarius is when we start to learn from the chaos that was like the center third of the year. And then Capricorn season is when we start acting on it. And then Aquarius Pisces season tends to be when people start to feel a lot more at peace, and they start to internalize a lot of the lessons and feel like a lot more collected and better and blah, 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 blah. And I think that's great. And it's whether or not you track that as well, I don't know. But today is a very like sensitive day. Everyone's gonna be a bit sooky or a bit sensitive, a bit touchy. If you've got something that you're dealing with, and if you're not, then just it's in your best interest to acknowledge that there are people out there that are going through that, and to not take any of it personally if it comes onto you. As well as like reflecting on the things that you could be dealing with, and being extra soft and extra caring and extra on your side. Like, give yourself the benefit of the doubt, give yourself the weight of the impact of whatever you're feeling, and try as hard as you can to do it without blaming somebody else. Like, being in a situation, even though like 9 times, like a lot, I need to stop saying 9 times out of 10, but even though a lot of life, sometimes it's easy just to go, I am feeling this way because of this thing. A lot of the times that takes the power away from us from actually experiencing what we're feeling, and then we can, and instead we experience blame for the situation. And Cancer has a tendency to be that way because it's the baby of the water signs, and so sometimes there can be an immaturity around emotion with coping in Cancerian energy. But I think a lot of their cycles of immaturity have hopefully grown. I can certainly feel those parts of myself having matured and lightened and I've gained a lot of insight over Cancerian energy and the way that it operates in myself and in the people around me, and it's all around been pretty enlightening, but you know, everything's always a work in progress. So keep that in mind. But also, just with the nodal shift, I wanted to share some things in case for the next 18 months you catch yourself in some of these patterns, because astrologically there's also just going to be some huge shifts, because a lot of the generational planets are moving into, again, like a lot of Aquarius, a lot of Pisces energy, which is a lot of collective healing and revolution and change, and closure. So it's a lot, and at the same time, I don't know if you watched my last video, I was kind of freaking out with this kind of feeling of knowing that there's like an impending big thing coming and not knowing what to do with it, not knowing how to work with the energy and everything like that. And I felt myself really getting into a bit of a Virgo overthinking tizzy, and that I think is what may color a lot of struggles in the next 18 months, because yeah, as I was saying, the node, which is kind of like it kind of becomes the compass north, true north of growth or direction for the collective for the next 18 months. And its direction is in Pisces, like it wants to move towards a more collective sense of unity and understanding for the whole, and understanding for each part of the process, being a part of the whole. Like it's heading towards unity. And that was a very common theme in a lot of my journeys recently, and like ceremonies, whatever you want to call them. Big theme of unity and understanding what unity is comprised of. And so yeah, it's pushing everyone to go into to align with whatever realm of that feels the most relevant, like whether that is religion or spirituality being like a guide for you, or whether that is like deepening empathy or like charity and things like that. A lot of things, a lot of stuff that isn't coming to my head right now, so I feel like that's not my job to like explain what's going on. There are so many resources, so many better and more knowledgeable resources that can tell you a little bit more about the node stuff. But what I want to pass and share is actually maybe, hopefully, some help for the Virgo South Node aspect of it, like the shadow that's going to be coming up in everyone, parts of ourselves, parts of society that may hinder us from fully falling into trusting that wholeness and like trusting unity. And that is like, yeah, the Virgo shadow, which is an individual's propensity to goal set and have a plan and have a step-by-step idea of what things will look like in order to get them from point A to point B, and finding out it can be different things for different people. Maybe you're somebody that focuses on efficiency. Maybe you're someone that focuses on like the experience of aesthetics and like enjoyment and pleasure. Maybe you're someone that enjoys the experience of intensity and you want to seek out those experiences, or whatever it is. Like we all make plans for our lives, and we all have ideas, and we all have the feeling of this is right for me. I am the expert of what, I mean, we are all the experts on ourselves, because we are all there is to know for ourselves. But, you know, like I think it's really easy because it provides a lot of security, and it provides a lot of sense in life when we have a goal, find out how to get there, and can see a clear picture of what that will mean for us and how that will look. But in the next 18 months, there are going to be what is like very frequently called divine interventions. And those divine interventions are going to be redirections in quite humongous ways, and are going to lead you to your dreams in ways that you probably won't comprehend, or that might seem nonsensical. They're going to be quite often against logic, because what we're being pushed to fall into is trusting surrender, trusting like a greater than us knowledge, like divinity, spirit, whatever you want to call it. Like trusting that it is not always within our human capacity to control how everything comes out and to know how everything comes out. And another theme that was in all my ceremonies was this idea that, like, I think I've spoken a little bit about like knowledge and wisdom and the difference between the two, and I'm honestly still understanding it. I don't think there's anything in this life that I am done understanding, but one thing that was pretty clear in both was like that there is true knowledge and that there is knowledge in the world. And so this is not to say that knowledge isn't out there for you to receive, but there is an experience as a person that you can have ego knowledge, which is a lot of the times when we like assume things or when we just make something up. Or, and I don't mean, when I say that, I don't mean when you get like a kind of claircognizant download, because again, that's the knowledge that comes from like source or like the soul. Because when you strip everything back, we're all just little things that are guessing through life. Because I don't really believe that we're here to be masters of our experience, or at least me, especially at like 26. I don't personally believe it's my responsibility anymore to be a master at anything, and that's lifted a load off my back. But I think sometimes it's a pressure that we can put on ourselves in growth and in aging, especially when we see people younger than us and when we get the sense that we know more than some people in this world. And there's a sense of responsibility that can come with that. There's this sense of leadership that can come with that. And sometimes there's a sense of, I need to maintain what I think a 26-year-old should know and what I think a 26-year-old should be a master at. And for me, at least, tearing that down and tearing that apart and surrendering to my perpetual state of studentry, or like what's that word? Not studentry, but it's kind of, you think you know what I mean, hopefully. It's created the space for me to forgive myself when I don't know, to not judge myself when I'm lost, and honestly that, and to trust and to find more trust in these moments where things happen that I feel inconvenienced by, or that I feel slighted by, or that I feel like I've lost something because of, that I feel misdirected by. It's given me this sense of, okay, I don't actually know what's going on. I had an idea, and that gave me the sensation that I knew what was going on, but the more that I've understood where I come from when I tell myself that I know something, it's often just a false, it's an assumption. So it's a false idea, and it's fine. Like, it's so fine, because I think to get through life, we need to feel some degree of security. So telling ourselves these like concepts of, I believe this, I think this, I know this, like, I think largely it's fine, it's harmless. But when we want to tap into I don't know, sitting in the puzzle of the universe, I think there's a degree of humility that we need to take on in understanding our place, which is like little souls and little spirits and little people, or however you envision yourself, like you are growing and learning and developing, and into whatever that means. Like, you're growing and learning and developing into the person that you're required to be for your life at any given moment. That's always changing, and it's always going to look different. And sometimes it's great to have direction. And so this is also not me saying like, don't plan, although I would also say don't plan anything until March, until Mars comes out of retrograde. That is what I would say about don't planning. But once March comes and goes, I'm not saying don't plan anything, because it's great to have direction, and it's beautiful to have inspiration and motivation and ideas, and it's you're going to need to get yourself places and you're going to need to start things. But what a lot of themes of this year will come down to at the core of things is, yeah, creating those things for yourself. But when you're in motion, when you're in life and when you're moving through things, to accept and to open your heart and open your mind to the things that come into you, withholding as much judgment or criticism as you can, and trying to like lace that channel of reception with curiosity and gratitude and appreciation of the potential of what the universe is bringing into your life. Because often we can have something happen to us, or we can have something be given to us, or whatever, however you want to phrase it. And because of, I think, maybe conflicts with what we thought was going to happen or what we hoped would have happened, that contrast of all of that attachment and putting all of our eggs in that basket, you know, we're gonna compare and contrast, and it's natural for us to go, this is what I wanted, so this other thing by default must be what I not want. Like, that's a very understandable unconscious comparison that floods in unconsciously for a lot of us. And I feel like there's going to be other things, but one of the things is to try and consciously either catch yourself when you feel that happening. Maybe not me, maybe it won't be immediately, like it's going to take us all like a couple times, like it's going to be an 18-month long process. But yeah, to try and catch yourself in moments of judgment, of going, this isn't what I want, therefore it is not valuable to me. Or I didn't see this coming, therefore it's a bad thing. Or it doesn't feel good immediately when it's happening, therefore it mustn't be good for my life, like in the long run. Because these are all almost like they're all like defensive reactions to the unknown. And I guess that's the other kind of thing that I wanted to talk about, which was, so that's like one thing, which is ties a couple things together, which is deconstructing the idea that, I guess I never finished that with like knowledge. I mean, that I might have to do like a whole other video on that, because it just kind of ties into these like greater ideas of like, you know, knowledge comes from the ego, and so like that knowledge or those assumptions or ideas, they can come from the ego, and sometimes they're amazing. And I try not to conflate ideas with inspiration or knowledge with assumption, because I think true knowledge is accessible to us, and people have channeled it into books or into talks or into whatever, like, and we give it like back and forth between one another, but that's something that's accessed from a source higher than our ego minds. And I say ego in like a neutral term, like we all have one and we all need one, and we all need one in balance, and we all need a healthy one. But it cannot be the thing that is like the god of our life, because it's not. It's really impressionable, it's really changeable, it's really easily destructed and wounded and inflated. So it can't be like the highest point of ourselves and the highest point of reference for where we get our direction from. So it's, for me, quite natural to place knowledge, true knowledge, in a realm where we have to bypass the ego. So we have to access a god or a deity or a spirit or our ancestor, or however you view, whatever you view, the universe, the trees, the grass, the land, the air, the sky, the sea, whatever, the sun, whatever you choose to worship, whatever you choose to turn to for a higher reflection of consciousness that exceeds the human ego. That is where we can reflect or receive, not reflect, that is where we can receive knowledge from. And I think it's been important for me to delineate that, just so I don't get caught up in my own self-advised like know-it-all scheme, I guess. Because yeah, that was, and yeah, it's like, it's different for me. I think it's interesting to like, I had to like further disassemble, because it's different from like intuitive hits, you know, like and for me, I had to understand that was because I could sometimes get ideas and follow them, like just like the other day, like people, like plumbers came in and fixed my toilet, and then they left like a valve that like controls, I don't know what controls, because I don't understand toilets, but it seems like what the water flows into to refill once you flush. I have no idea, but it's that hissing sound that sometimes happens once you flush a toilet, and then mine's always taken like no time to like shut off, but once the plumbers came and like redid things, it's taken like a little bit longer, and I was like, huh, it's taking a lot longer than it was taking before. So I like closed the valve, not understanding anything, just thinking that I knew better, and that there was like thinking that something seemed off to me, and I didn't trust that a professional came in and did their job correctly. I just thought there was something off, and I decided to do something about it because I was getting annoyed by how long the sound was taking to go away, and I just decided to turn the valve shut because I didn't understand anything, and lo and behold, like my toilet would have flushed the next time I went. And I had to just kind of be like, okay, like that's different from the times where I've been ready to go see a friend and there's been something that I see on my way out, and I think, and there's a pull in me to go, take that with you. And then I go, I don't know why I'd take that, that's stupid. And then I get to see the friend and I'm talking to them, and they're like, yeah, I was like thinking that I need to get like blah blah blah, I need this kind of thing. And I was like, oh, no wonder there was like an intuitive little thing that was telling me to go like take that, and I just fucking ignored it. That's not truly understanding what the voice of intuition sounds like, but knowing what your voice of ego sounds like, and readily following one, and like having to learn to follow the other. One requires a lot, like they both require discernment, and they both require knowledge and awareness and an intimate relationship with both to be able to know which one's speaking at what time. So this isn't me saying don't listen to yourself. This is me saying there's probably going to be a lot of times that your ego mind has ideas or makes assumptions about the things that are going to happen for the next 18 months. And they could be hypercritical. They could be based in I know best, or they could be based in this isn't what I was planning, so therefore it's wrong. And I would just ask you or implore you to, at the bare minimum, when you hear those thoughts, or when you see yourself speaking to life like that, or when you see yourself judging life in that way, to second guess that voice, and to second guess judgment seeping in as the answer, and to then turn to openness and curiosity, and trying to connect with this, with a new opportunity, or trying to connect with a shift or a change that comes into your life. I'm not saying you have to immediately skip to gratitude, because some of the lessons might be super fucking hard to do that, but at least try to connect to what's happening either to you or for you, rather than putting distance between it and going, that's wrong because it's not what I thought and it's not what I know. That's right. No. That's the other delusion that not delusion, but that's the other thing that I think that's the other thing that I've had to disassemble in my brain, is the separation that we create between the known and the unknown, again, like for the sake of the ego, which is fine, because we all need a sense of safety and security. But I think I've needed to understand this perspective, again, just to kind of center myself into my place, which comes with understanding that the concept or the idea that we really know everything about what's going on just because we're familiar with it, or just because it's what we do every day, I don't know. for me, it felt kind of cathartic to allow myself to understand my present and my life as the unknown. Because there's this distance that's created by these phrases of like leaping into the unknown and like embracing the unknown. And it's like, aren't we already doing that? Because all we are seeing just how changeable reality is, like a lot lately. Like, even like if we want to get really conspiracy theories, like even with like Mandela effects and like people are talking about shifting timelines and everything like this, like I think for me and for people around me, we're all seeing like the turbulence and the unpredictability of life. And so I think a lot of life, when you can sit and observe it, we're already in the unknown. And yes, there may be things that we can look at and find familiarity and find like connection to in some regard. But again, we're creating that for a sense of safety so we can exist in the present. Like we're doing it for security and survival purposes. But really, if you look at it bigger, we are always like perpetually into the unknown. It's just our mind's propensity to pick what we know, what is familiar, what we choose to know. And I don't know, like there is still like, it's still very true that you can do something you've never done before and you don't know the outcome. Whereas doing something that you've done before, you can assume that you know the outcome. But again, I guess that's what my brain's understanding is that like when we tell ourselves that we know the present, it's all an assumption. It's all an assumption based on the past. Because we could truly go into doing something and we can tell ourselves that we're choosing the thing that we know because we believe that it's going to go the way we always assume it's going to go. But like when you get down to it, you actually never fucking know. Even if you're choosing the thing that you tell yourself you know, anything could be behind that decision. It's just our like frame of reference based on like patterns and shit like that. So I'm trying to also then level out all my decisions with that kind of stark reality that like all of it is gonna be unknown. I'm currently in like unknown territory. Like not really, but like kind of, this is when it gets kind of like meh. It's made more sense to me last night as I was going to bed and I was thinking about it, and it makes more sense in my head. Maybe the known unknown thing is still kind of like baking in my head, but it's helping me. It's helping me feel, oddly enough, like a little bit more grounded, and it's giving me a lot of permission to trust myself. Because again, with this like known, unknown things, even just living, you're going to be in like the delusion of assumption. Like I think it's just kind of inherent with what comes with consciousness, because we're all just like, it always just tries to grapple at whatever. I think that's like a part of why it's all so sticky. Like we need to grasp something in order to be sane, but then at the same time, holding on too tight can make us go insane. So there's this balance of like creating a reality that we feel comfortable enough to go, okay, this is it. And then also recognizing the time in which that reality needs to shift and change, and we need to let go of certain beliefs and ideas and whatever, and just fluctuating between the creating a sense of known and then releasing it to completely change and accept that what we held on to, what we thought we knew, even though it felt like it needed to be congruent and permanent in the moment, it is and forever probably always will be temporary and changeable. Anyway. I don't know if any of that's going to really make sense. It's truly only just making sense to me now. And it's going to probably take a little more allowing. Like, I think I did a lot of thinking. And from now, and I kind of just want to like blurt it all out as my brain's still been in like thinking and processing mode. Because I think I'm going to go into like letting it just sit in me for the next like couple days to a couple weeks and try not to like think about it too much, and then maybe in 2 weeks time when the new moon comes, like review some stuff and then be like, oh, okay, cool, this is how I settle on it. But there's been a lot going on, and there's going to be a lot going on in the next 18 months, and maybe if you remember anything from this, it'll help, but I'm sure I'll start talking about it again anyway, so yeah. There's just a great sense of healing, collective and individual states towards unity and love and like conscious awareness of ourselves and our world. And it sounds all lovely and stuff like that, but right now there isn't a lot of it. There's a lot of disharmony, there's a lot of fighting, there's a lot of abuse, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of secrets, there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of hatred, there's a lot of guilt, there's a lot that's keeping us out of like alignment with those things. Again, both individually and collectively. And in order to like heal all of that stuff, healing isn't always pretty. Like, healing isn't always like kumbaya getting together. Like, healing doesn't always mean like expansion and light. Healing is also sometimes retracting into the self and being alone. Healing is letting go, and healing is welcoming in. Like, healing is burning away shit that doesn't serve you, and it's also putting aloe vera on your sunburn. Like, healing isn't one thing. And I think that's also what is probably going to be slapped into us like this year, is that like healing doesn't look perfect. Healing doesn't look nice. Healing doesn't look digestible. Healing doesn't look peaceful all the time. And anyone who's in any degree of therapy probably knows that. And that's also going to be a tough thing to like face in this year, and then because we're going from Pisces North Node into Aquarius North Node. For the next couple years, that's going to be a theme, is that like good things don't always come in pretty packages. But it's also sometimes necessary in order to achieve like the long-term collective goals or evolution that is necessary and like capable. Like, it's necessary, but it's like we also have the capacity for it. Anyway, it's all just kind of coming up. The next 2 moons, or the next couple moons, are all in my like 11th and 12th house, so I'm feeling very like collective-y. And so yeah, I think it's what's going on in my brain, and it's definitely helped that kind of like tizzy. I don't know what I don't know how to deal with this energy. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this energy. I don't know if this energy is good to feel or whatever it is. And like, I don't know. It's helped me kind of ground and put myself into perspective and put myself into not necessarily my role, but like what I do feel is like the place that I feel humble enough to occupy and go, okay, this is it. This is what I'm supposed to do. Well, not supposed to, but like, this is what I got, kind of thing, type deal. Yeah. Probably going to talk about more all year. And hopefully it helps. Hopefully it slowly starts to make sense. Still don't really have much of a format for these things, and maybe that'll come to me though. Maybe it won't. Maybe it doesn't have to. Who knows? It's gonna be a lot of the attitude. Yeah, all I know is that I'm trying to like maintain the balance of this is what I want and this is what I feel myself feeling. Like feeling that sense of security in. But each day, like each time something just little happens that it's like, oh, this isn't how I want my day to go, or this isn't what I envision this to look like, or this is not what I thought that would taste like, or whatever. Like I'm just trying to like practice that little cognitive workout of shifting that awareness and going, okay, this isn't it, but like open. Because if I do it in the little things, at least I'm building a little bit of muscle memory, so I might be able to do it for the bigger things that are coming. And bigger things are coming. Don't know what, but I'm a Virgo. So Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, Sag. Big things. Yeah. Hope you're doing good. Hope this little Cancer full moon can bring up some stuff that maybe you need to like self-soothe around, or get soothing, like be held by other people, be held by yourself, whatever you need. Don't judge yourself on what you're feeling like you're needing. Just reach out or reach in, and really stand by yourself and really like back yourself about how you're feeling for a minute. Don't allow that to turn into blame or victimizing. Like just hold yourself and recognize what you're feeling, and try not to focus on blame. Try to focus on what you're feeling. Not who did it, not how it happened. Just focus on your feelings. They need the bulk of your attention. You need the bulk of your attention. And that is the best gift you can give yourself. So, hope that helps. Have a great day, have a great week, have a great time.